Blog Talk Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff.
Hello, 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 and liftoff. Welcome to the Tarot Today radio show. I am your host, Mary Brown. My co-host, Dax Carlisle, is not going to be able to be with us today, and I'm bummed. I know you're bummed. Maybe he's bummed, but we all miss Dax and send him a quick shout-out to let him know. Dax, we miss you already, and the show just started. Welcome, welcome to the Psychic Talk Radio Network. This is the Tarot Today radio show, and I'm pretty excited to be here today. Today is our monthly Psychic Spin episode, and that, in case you aren't familiar with it, is a show where we ask the big questions, or sometimes we'll look at trending topics, and unlike everybody else that tackles these big questions, we can actually pull cards on them and see what the tarot has to say. So whatever you want to know from the universe, today is the day to ask. Call into the show. We are a live call-in show. And the number to call is 714-816-462. Again, that number is 714-816-4628. And you be sure to press 1 on your dial pad so that we know that you want to be live on the air. Otherwise, we'll think that you are just listening. And we also have a chat post. You can also pose your question in the comments on our chat post on Facebook. It's really easy to find by just going to psychictalk.net/chat, and it'll take you right over there. And so what else do we have going on? You should know that this show is sponsored by the Tarot Guild, the international organization for tarot lovers, students, and professional readers since 2004. You can check it out by going to www.thetarotguild.com. All right. And I thought we would start with the card of the day today. For those of you who have not joined our Psychic Talk Radio Facebook group, you need to join. You can find that by going to psychictalk.net/Facebook. It'll take you right over there. We have a page. We have a group. Like the page. Join the group. And every day in our Psychic Talk Radio Facebook group, I post a card of the day from the different oracle decks that I have. And the card for today comes from the Guardian Angel Reading Cards by Debbie Malone, illustrated by Amalia Chichalescu. And it's the Angel of Determination, card number 9. The message is, you have the determination you need to achieve your goals. And You know, I think determination is a really kind of interesting thing because a lot of times what happens is like we want to make something happen. We have a goal that we want to achieve, but we let our fear get in the way of it. We think, oh, gee, I don't know if I have what it takes. Well, this card is to remind us that, yes, you do have what it takes. It just requires that you stay determined about it. And so what does that mean? It means that you don't give up so easily, right? You know, because sometimes we can feel stuck and we can, you know, we're just thinking about starting something, but we never really get it on track because we just feel like, oh, I don't know, that's too hard, or oh, that's too time consuming. So we gotta stay focused on achieving our goals. Just put one foot in front of the other, you know. It doesn't have to be a race to the finish line. You just have to keep moving. So that is the card of the day, and you can find that again by going to the Psychic Talk radio Facebook groups, psychictalk.net/Facebook. Oh my goodness. So a lot of exciting stuff happening in the world lately, and we've put a call out to our listeners to see what they wanted to know. You know, what did they want us to pull cards on? What big question that they had? What did they want to know from the universe? And you know, it's interesting. It's like sometimes we get a lot of feedback, sometimes we get very little, sometimes we get feedback during the show. But this time I actually heard from a couple friends that had a few questions, and I thought they were really interesting questions that I'm not sure that we've ever done a psychic spin on. So I thought, okay, well, we'll start with those, and then if we have any callers today, then we'll see what big questions they have. And if you don't have a big question, don't worry, because we're also, like we usually do, we're doing open lines and free tarot mini readings as well. I do see some people in the caller queue already lined up. That's terrific. Remember to press number 1 on your dial pad so that I know that you want to be on the air. And if you don't want to be if you don't want to be on the air, you can always just listen on the line as well. That's something that even I like to do on other people's shows. Sometimes it's just convenient to just listen on your phone. But let's go ahead and get started with some of these big questions. And one of them, I think there's really not a good order to put the big questions in, you know, how do we work up from one thing to another. But these are all huge, huge questions. One of the people I heard from asked, is there an afterlife? You know, and you can't get much bigger than that. And I'm almost afraid to pull cards on, because I think it's a great question, because really we all want to know, right? It's something that we think about. You know, we're all here, you know, so many spins around the sun, and then we're done. And what comes next? What happens after that? And you know, sometimes I think for a lot of people we look to religion, or we look to philosophy, and we even science, and what answers do those have for us on this big question of whether or not there's an afterlife? Well, today we're going to look to the tarot to see if it can kind of give us an idea of that. So, and it is a yes or no question, right? And I'm not going to do a yes or no reading on it. I'm going to ask the question so that it's not a yes or no question. So, you know, what do we need to know about the afterlife is how I'm going to pose this. And gosh, I wish Dax was here for this big, big question, but I'd love to see more and more takes on it. But let's just see what I get on it. So I'm just going to shuffle here. I don't know if you can hear me shuffling. Sometimes I'm a rather loud shuffler, I'll admit. But, okay, what do we need to know about the afterlife? And the, wow, okay. Well, I don't know. This is really, the cards I got on this are really kind of interesting. The first thing that comes up is the Hermit card, right at the center, the central focus card. And, I was talking about religion, philosophers, tackling this question of, like, is there an afterlife and what's that about? And the Hermit's the first thing that comes up here. But, the Hermit to me is also another 9 card. Remember the card of the day I pulled was a 9 card. I wonder what's going on with the number 9. But anyways, to me it's really kind of interesting because it is a card of contemplation and, aloneness, right? If somebody's a hermit, sometimes we think of them as somebody who, goes off, the man at the top of the mountain, the guru, goes off in a cave and, all of those things. And that it just is striking to me that the Hermit comes up on this because truly, we come into this life alone, I mean, there's people greeting us when we arrive, smacking our butt, making sure that we're all healthy and everything when we're born. And then we die, and sure, we have friends around us and stuff, but we take that journey through death alone as well. And so maybe that's the first thing that we need to think about with this question of what do we need to know about the afterlife. Okay, so maybe we enter into it alone. We're that hermit energy of, another thing, yeah, it's kind of odd. Another thing that I associate with the hermit sometimes is this idea of usually ritual or spiritual, but purification. So maybe, getting to the afterlife, we go through a certain type of purification. We go through that alone. And then following the hermit is the 3 of Cups. Now, that's kind of wild because to me it's almost like a polar opposite energy of the Hermit card, right? You see the hermit, the wise old man seeking knowledge and kind of alone, and then you go into the 3 of Cups and it's like a party. It's a celebration. There's joy, there's friendship, there's good times. So the afterlife, we need to know that it's a good time. We get there, maybe it's this like kind of, I don't know, maybe spiritual journey, and then we arrive and we're having a great time. That's bizarre to me. I did not expect that kind of answer. The other thing, too, underneath the Hermit is the 8 of Wands, right? So the 8 of Wands, we think of those wands flying through the air, swiftly flying. They're headed for their target, headed for the destination. They get there quickly. And so maybe this hermit energy doesn't really last that long. That, that's just like, a first stage after death is that we have that kind of, I want to say like, some type of, purification we go through, and we go through that alone, and then we fly through that pretty quickly, and then we end up with friends, with the 3 of Cups, with friends, with family, with joy, with people around us. And the Knight of Cups is overlooking everything else. And, the Knight of Cups is like following our heart. So is it that our heart is guiding us to the afterlife? Is that, those feelings that we have, the people that we've loved and lost, are we just like taken right to them on the other side? So, wow, totally different kind of answer that I expected to get. It's interesting that the Death card didn't come up because I kind of expected that, Instead, all this starts with the Ace of Wands. So, it's like maybe death, kicks it off, right? That's the thing that initiates this journey. Wow. Looks like there's really, really a good time to look forward to with this, which, that's great news. right? Because sooner or later, we're all going to, find out. We're all going to find out for ourselves at some point. But, nothing scary about this from these cards. So that is really kind of fascinating. You know what? When Dax does get back, I am going to have to ask him to pull a couple cards on this too, because I'd love to know what kind of cards he would be getting on this. But yeah, so there we go. And thank you for that question. You know who you are. And that was really, really fascinating. Okay, so then moving right along, the next question actually came out of a conversation I was having with a few friends of mine, because I noticed this, and I think I only noticed it because I'm a bit of a news junkie, right? I mean, I'm like totally. I used to work as a journalist, so I'm like still a news junkie. I'm totally drawn to it. I'm reading the news all the time, and I was talking with some friends of mine about how peculiar it seems that there just seems to be like a big increase. I mean, it seems like a big increase because I'm seeing news stories like, several times a week on UFOs, right? Sightings here, sightings there. And it seems to be ramping up. And I don't know if maybe it's just being reported more often now, where we have like major media outlets that maybe in the past, we're thinking like, well, leave that to the news of the world and the tabloid sites to deal with those. But now, there's this sort of mainstreaming of UFO reporting happening, and there's a lot of UFO reporting happening. Now, all of this is kind of interesting because we're closing in on June 1st. Now, June 1st is supposed to be the deadline when the Pentagon releases and intelligence agencies release a report on unidentified aerial phenomena, right? Basically UFOs. They call them UAPs, essentially. But, and I think, who knows what to expect from that report? Is it going to be full disclosure? Have we ever had a full disclosure? There's a question mark around that, right? So I'm not expecting full disclosure on June 1st. I know Marco Rubio recently was asked about this, and I think because he's connected to the committee putting, it is, but he's doubtful that it's going to actually be put out on June 1st. He thinks that they're not going to quite make the deadline, that it'll be close to that. And, he didn't really give any hints about what he expects other than, this stuff needs to be examined. So even if they can't tell us what these unidentified flying objects are, they can at least tell us how far along they are in learning more about them, because everybody, I think, thinks they need to be studied, especially because we're having so much, close contact, it seems, with our military birds in the air, with these UFOs. I think, maybe some of you've seen, like, some of that footage that was released in the Navy verified that it was their video that was being put out there on those UFO sites. So we're getting like little bits here and there, but there does seem to be this attraction around military bases and military planes and military ships, and also having to do with our nuclear sites, and just a lot of bizarre stuff going on. So I think we're going to hear more about the reporting, or rather more reporting of things that, haven't even been out there that we didn't know were going on. And at least we'll get an idea of, what we know so far, Maybe they're not extraterrestrials, right? Maybe one of our adversaries, you could say, on this planet has kind of gotten their technology leaps and bounds ahead of ours, right? So there's a lot of questions surrounding this whole concept of UFOs, and these questions came out of this conversation I was having with a few friends. So first I wanted to tackle just the main obvious question: are they extraterrestrials? Are these UFO sightings actually connected to extraterrestrials? Because they might not be. Again, it's just we might be further behind on our technology than we realize. So let's look at that and see what the tarot has to say about that. So are these UFOs connected to extraterrestrials? And, well, the World card comes up overlooking everything. That's interesting. And the World card to me is it's like the whole world. It's like inclusive, right? So I feel like already what it's saying is maybe not all of them. That the UFOs are that are being reported, and again, they're being reported because they're unidentified. All of them necessarily are extraterrestrial. And we have the Five of Pentacles saying yeah, not all of them. Some of the reports are lacking that. Ace of Wands comes up. So, okay, there may be extraterrestrial involved in at least, some of the reporting. And, I get all these cards here, the Ten of Wands, the World card. I get all these cards that are saying, okay, look, there's a lot here. There's a lot here. That it's not, you can't just say you see a UFO and it's immediate, look, there's an alien, no. So there's more to the story than it just being extraterrestrial. Well, that's not, too surprising, I suppose. And then the last card that comes up here is the Devil card. That's interesting. So the Devil card is kind of a fascinating card to end on here. What do we think of the Devil card? We think of, we think of control issues for one thing. We think of obstacles that come up. We can think of them like manipulation, maybe, maybe not everything is quite as it seems. Maybe these are things that are being controlled. If they're being controlled, maybe some of these things that we're seeing are more maybe like a drone thing where they're not manned, and maybe they're being controlled remotely. That could be one aspect of it. So again, they're maybe not, an extraterrestrial, piloting, the craft, but it could be kind of working like a drone where it is, being remotely controlled. So, it's interesting. I feel like, there's at least some connection to some of these that may have to do with extraterrestrials. There's more going on. I think some of it is connected to people on the planet, maybe other nations. And some of them may be being, remotely controlled rather than, piloted with a live human being or otherwise. Right? So, okay. So there we go. That's the extraterrestrial part of this. And then one more question based on this, and then we'll start taking some calls here. The other question that came out of this UFO conversation was, about this report being released in June. Is this full disclosure? one of my friends is like, I want full disclosure. It's like, I want it too. I don't expect it though. But, is this at least disclosure of something new? Are we going to hear something new other than, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff out there that we don't know what it is? Because we already know that. We don't know what it is either, right? So let's see, how much disclosure is really going to be involved, how much new information is there going to be given to us other than basically, they're acknowledging there's something going on, right? So let's see what comes up on that. What about full disclosure or some disclosure? Wow. Okay, we're still gonna have questions. I think the report is just gonna open up more questions here. What precedes this is a 5 of Wands, so it may have been like kind of a bit of a battle to even get them to do a report on this. Competing interests, competing voices. Maybe not everybody wants this reporting to come out. That's one thing I would take from that. And, the Wheel of Fortune does come up along with the 10 of Wands and the Page of Swords. So I feel like this news, could have an impact on things. It could make it, maybe we get that 10 of Wands feeling. Maybe, where there's people that feel kind of this sort of burden from this, And then in the end, the final card on this is the 4 of Swords. So we may have to hit the reset button. We may just have to pause and absorb, what's coming out of this reporting in June. Wheel of Fortune is about change, so it's hard to say exactly what this change is related to. It could be just marking like this is a change from, suppressing, any instance of it and, ridiculing people that even bring up the topic. That was the thing that was interesting. The interview that I saw with Marco Rubio, Senator Rubio is not somebody that I think of as like a shrinking violet or is ever afraid of saying anything controversial, right? We've heard him say all kinds of stuff. And yet, he was a little bit sheepish talking about this because he's like, look, it's like it's very hard to, subject to talk about without being ridiculed, Like people are going to hear me just talking about this reporting and they're going to be like, oh, that guy, he's so crazy, So, hopefully that's one thing that will change, that at least we can discuss it, that at least people feel comfortable reporting what they see and what they experience, and that we can get away from the, the childishness of like ridiculing and trying to shame someone for even talking about something that none of us really, that we know of, none of us really have like the whole story on, So yeah, we're going to get some information and we're going to need to absorb it. So that makes me think that, like, yeah, some of it's going to be new information, especially with the Page of Swords there. And, I think it's a step in the right direction, if nothing else, right? So, okay, so that is the UFO questions. I hope my friends are listening since they're making me go into this scary topic. I don't know. Personally, like, I'm not worried about it. Like, okay, even if there are UFOs, even if there's extraterrestrials around, it feels like it's been going on for so long that if there was something to really be fearful of, then, it would have happened already, right? Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like this could be a good thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and take some calls. But before we do that, we're already at the bottom, at the halfway through the show here. So I just want to go through what we have coming up on the Psychic Talk Radio Network this week. Is going to be pretty exciting, and then we'll take calls right after this. So our next show is going to be Sunday, April 25th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's the Magic Universe Show with your host, Sharona Rapsick. She's going to be doing free tarot mini readings and angel Reiki all show long and talking about how to create your future. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Again, that's tomorrow, Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And then the next show after that is Monday, April 26th, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, the Wisdom of the Soul Show with your host, Janice Fuchs. And that'll be followed on Wednesday, April 28th. Now, the Wednesday show's at a different time. Wednesday is at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's a Compassionate Light Healing and Guidance Hour with your host, Catherine Hahn. She's going to be doing free on-air guidance and talking about the power of gratitude and kindness. She's done a series on this, and she's going to be wrapping that up this Wednesday. And then after that, on Friday, April 30th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, it's the Doctors Are In show with your host, Dr. Rose Wilkerson and Dr. Dax Carlisle. They're going to be saying, the name of the show is There's a Mantra for That. And they're going to be doing free tarot readings, free tarot mini readings, and life coaching as well. And then I will be back next Saturday, May 1st, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, for my There's a Rock for That show. We're going to be doing free crystal mini readings, and I'm going to be talking about telekinesis with a friend of mine who practices it. My guest is Bob Harshman, and our featured crystal for the month of May is Golden Healer Quartz. One of my favorites, Golden Healer Quartz. So those are the shows coming up on the Psychic Talk Radio Network. You can find those very easily by going to psychictalk.net/upcoming. You can see the full lineup there. Okay, so let's take some calls. Let's see who has been waiting the longest here. And that is area code 630. Area code 630. Caller, are you there? Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello.
Hi, my name's Lisa. Yeah, my name's Lisa. I'm calling from Illinois.
Uh-huh. Lisa from Illinois. What did you want to talk about, Lisa?
Well, can we ask a question or?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you want a mini reading, or did you want to ask, like, one of the big questions, like the meaning of life, that kind of thing?
No, like a mini reading.
Okay. It's fine, too. Go ahead. What's your question?
Yeah. Okay, so I just was wondering, like, what do you see with my love life? I kind of had a crush on someone a little bit, but I want to start dating once this pandemic's over, and I wondered, like, what you see with that for me.
So dating after the pandemic, right? And
yeah, like it has to be completely over. Expect? You know, I can't. Huh? Yeah, like you know, I kind of had a crush on someone for a while that I've been meeting on Zoom with, like, you know, like in a gathering with other people. But I just wondered if you saw anything with that, or you know, I just want to start dating. I'm not going to like wait around. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Well, let's look at the crush person first. Okay. And see if we see anything with that, and then we'll look at the dating question. Generally, like, I bet that's a big question for a lot of people. It's like dating after the pandemic. You know, like everything, right?
Yeah.
Like how do we even function? How do we do it before? But let's look at this person, the Zoom crush. That's even a new thing, right? Like nobody had Zoom crushes before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay, so just see what comes up on this Zoom crush. The Hanged Man comes up, the Two of Pentacles comes up, the Star card, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Six of Pentacles. I mean, look, with the Star card, we always say, like, hey, there's hope there. The thing that's interesting, though, is the Hanged Man right at the center. It feels like before anything can get moving, well, okay, we already said it, right, the pandemic, so that's one thing. But,
well, did you think that person was, like, single and attracted to me? I mean, I had no idea if maybe, like he was with, like, dating someone, or I don't know.
We have the Two of Pentacles and the Hanged Man with that. There's something causing delays here, It could be the pandemic. Then, it's not showing up as, like, this guy's married, or
was he interested in me or anything like that? Like, did you think he would ask me out, or don't hold your breath? Because I'm not waiting around. Like, I'm just going to start dating. I don't really care. I mean, I just want to, I'm sure I can eventually find someone, that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
It's a good fit.
And just looking at that, I get the same thing. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of interest there. There's a little bit of attraction there, but the timing is so off. It's something that he has to, like, finish first. So yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath on that. I wouldn't. I would just kind of put him in the back of my head, and then if he comes forward, then see what happens, with the Star card and the Wheel of Fortune. It's like something has to change for him first. But yeah, there's interest, but I don't think, why put your life on hold for somebody who obviously, has to
I would absolutely not.
Ends.
But, like, I want someone that's ready to date, too. So do you think, I'll have some luck with that once this is over, let's say in the fall or something, and I can start signing up for services or whatever, some service, dating service.
Right. So are you gonna find people? How is dating gonna go after this is all over and you are putting yourself out there?
I'm gonna go online and meet people at coffee shops and stuff like that. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't believe in just, like, I'm not gonna do Bumble or I don't know, those things where you just, like, look for people online immediately. But there's all kinds of groups out there where you can just go online and, like, meet people.
Absolutely.
And then, maybe meet at a coffee house. So do you see me, like, dating someone, like, later this year or next year? Anyone in my life, if I make an effort?
So look, I think it looks really good for that. The Three of Cups comes up. That is a card of, like, groups, literally. So I think your group idea for meeting somebody is good. One person in particular that comes up here is like the Knight of Pentacles. So that could be somebody who's like an earth sign. They're usually like, kind, generous, pretty solid person. So that's the main person that comes up. But the Three of Cups comes up here. And also, we get the High Priestess card. And so the High Priestess card, when that comes up, that's always a great sign to, like, pay attention to our gut feelings, our intuition. You're going to get a vibe about this person,
Right.
And,
like, I do that now with everything in my life, totally.
Awesome.
I go deep with them and just, that's what works, like, just, going with your trusting your gut instincts. So do you see that, like, later this year or next year, like, once the pandemic's over, that I can start signing up and, doing, like, online dating where you meet people and then you might meet them in person?
The time frame I'm seeing for this is actually the fall. So I feel like we're talking this year.
Okay, and then for travel, like, I just retired. When do you see me starting to be able to travel? I had a couple of setbacks, like, health-wise, but I'm meeting with my doctors, and I think once this is over, I should be able to even do international travel. I just wondered what you see with me with travel, like locally, international, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So let's take a look at travel. You and travel, do we see any travel coming up?
I mean, it couldn't be till the fall, that's for sure. My doctor's already told me until the pandemic's over, and there's, like, a herd immunity, like, start out in the United States,
Yeah, like, look, you're going to be able to travel again, but, it's going to take a while, what's interesting about it is that it really is saying that, like, okay, you keep saying once this is over, and I'm getting all these tens, right? And so the tens usually indicate like the end of a phase or end of a particular time. The Ten of Swords here especially is the end of a time that, was really like difficult. So, that could be indicating the end of the pandemic. But also with all these tens coming up, it does make us think more along the lines of like, maybe 10 months from now, or maybe the month of October. But it definitely, it's not coming up as right away. But then what we do have is that we have the Knight of Cups here. So two things about that is that, sometimes with the Knight of Cups, the Knights are all about movement. And sometimes, that movement can be connected to romance, to dating. You might even take a trip with somebody that you end up dating. And the main message, though, the real basic message of the Knight of Cups is like following our heart, like not just traveling to travel, but, someplace that really is going to like resonate with us on the heart level. So I think travel's going to be a ways off, but yes, I see you traveling again, and I think the dating thing's going to go pretty well.
You mean I could get serious with somebody even? I don't want to get married, but
Well, you could, like having a companion, having, it
right.
doesn't have to be a big, formal thing, right? But or, I don't even like the word serious, because what I'm seeing is like somebody we love spending our time with and having fun with. That's what
that would be perfect.
About.
That's what I'm interested in. Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful. One step at a time. You never know. I mean, you can meet someone great too. That eventually it's more. But I think being friends and having a companion is like the best thing, because I've had some people that were real doozies, real narcissists, things like that. I just hope I have better luck, and I think I'm choosing better. I'm definitely like a lot more self-esteem and a lot more like, I think, thinking things through and being careful with people and like listening to myself and the gut and, seeing what people are really about. It takes a while to get to know people. I hope I have better luck and I attract better. I really do. I think I should at this point in my life, but I don't know. Like if, do you see that, like good people? Because like otherwise I don't want to date,
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying about the Knight of Pentacles energy. For a person that we see you dating, that is somebody who is like you can count on them. They're not going to flake out on you. They're considerate. They're someone that like,
and that would be great. Not being a narcissist. I grew up with a narcissist family, very very narcissistic. Almost everybody in it except me, and I just really really want now to make, I have made better choices at certain points in my life, but now I must, and I think that will happen because I'm aware and I'm a lot more self-confident, you know what I mean?
Exactly, and I think that's why that High Priestess came up on that question. It's like, trust your vibe. Trust your vibes, trust your intuition.
And get to know people slowly, it's like you don't know people. It takes a long time, and just see what people are all about,
It does take
well,
time.
let's go to the next person. I want to stay on and listen if I can. But.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much for calling. You have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. All right. That was a great call from Lisa in Illinois. And I'm not sure what's going on with the switchboard. It's like it's stuck. So I'm going to try and see if I can refresh that. And hopefully I won't lose everybody on the show. Okay, there we go. There we go. It seems to be working now. All right, so let's go ahead and take our next call. And let's see who has been holding the longest here. It looks like that would be area code 775. Area code 775. Caller, are you there?
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call.
Hi, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Wendy from California.
Wendy from California. What did you want to talk about today, Wendy?
Well, in March, I ordered several sets of very expensive china from a well-known department store that we all love. The name starts with an M and there's a C in it. And
yeah.
when it arrived, it wasn't what I was expecting. It didn't look as pretty as the picture, and there were a few tiny scratches. And so I called the company and arranged to ship it back. And two of the big boxes were sent to a warehouse that was in my same city. And I got $305 back pretty fast. But for some strange reason, the third box with two more sets was sent 2,000 miles away to Owasso, Oklahoma. And so I'm still waiting on $152. And I'll try to be more concise. I also returned some other items. It was a big order, like a nightgown and a few other things. And my online shopping was frozen because it triggered something in the computer. I was told that when you have a large order and you return multiple items, it can trigger an action like stopping your online shopping. And I received an email letter from the company, and it was saying something like, due to you not having received, etc. Well, that's silly because they have the receipt. It was online. But anyway, the postal carrier that we all know starts with a U, and there's an S in the name. I have impeccable proof that I returned all of them. But the company's not being nice to me. And I did speak to a supervisor on April the 8th. Her name is Andrea. She treated me like a queen. She was fabulous. And she said it took her like 1 second to reinstate my online shopping. And I asked her to follow up with me in a week to make sure everything was working well. She hasn't done that. And I've called and left multiple messages for her to call me because my online shopping froze again. And so I know that she said that she did have the authority to do this and that she can override what happened before. So I really want to speak directly with her. Will Andrea call me back? Will my online shopping privileges be reinstated?
Okay, is this going to be resolved, basically? You know, will they be reinstated? Will she get back to you? All of that stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at that and just see how it looks. Okay, so will Andrea get back with you?
Yeah, her name is Andrea, and she's in Ohio, and the first initial of her last name starts with an S, like Sam.
Right, you know, so it does look like there was like kind of a pause in the action there. As far as Andrea getting back to you, I think that there's a good chance of that. It feels like there's also like another person involved. So maybe you said she said that she had the, you know, authorization to kind of fix things, but
yeah,
maybe there was like another level of that involved in that. But it does look like she's going to get back to you. Has it been like 10 days yet?
I spoke to Andrea on April the 8th. So it's been over 2 weeks.
Over
so
2
I don't
weeks,
know
okay.
if she's on a medical leave or what. She does train, even though she is a supervisor, but she would see the email request to call me back. So I wouldn't think by her personality that she would not call me back.
Right.
But maybe she's out of the office. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like there was something that just kind of disrupted things for her a little bit. But we have the Empress in the end there, so that's a good sign. And then the other question was, do we see, this getting resolved for you, where your shopping's back online and all of that, right?
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Okay, and looking at that, do we see that happening for you? The Hanged Man, that's where we're at now, like this delay. The Star card and the Eight of Wands. So it's funny because I think that, once she gets back with you and it addresses this directly, then yeah, it's like, snap your fingers and you're back on. So, and the Star card's a great sign. So yeah, I think that that's going to happen. It's just this weird delay that's going on at the moment, and it may just be that she got caught up with someone else. I feel like it's like a back and forth between a couple people. Could even be with the Eight of Wands. It could even be technical issues on their end too with their system. But yeah, well, so it looks good for having that reinstated.
Yeah. Well, you said the Hangman came up though.
Yeah, and that's like delays.
Okay.
The Hanged Man.
But then you saw the Star, and what does Star mean?
So the Star card was overlooking that Hanged Man, which was interesting, because it's like the Star comes up and it talks about like there's every reason to be optimistic that this is going to turn out good. Okay. It's a card of hope. Okay. So it's saying like even though things have been delayed like this, don't get discouraged.
So about when do you think Andrea might call me? Days or weeks, or what do you see?
I would give her another week, tops.
So early May?
I think it'll be maybe, maybe early May. I think it may be before then, maybe during the course of the week next week.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's odd because representatives have sent her emails. Please call Wendy and list my phone number.
Yeah.
So she didn't strike me as the kind of person that would just disregard that. She was unusually kind and very professional, and she said in her own words, she said, "I assure you, I will personally make sure of it that your account stays active."
Well, there you go. That sounds great. It's just, make it happen then, right, Andrea?
Yeah. So if you had to pick a day that this will be resolved, what day would you pick?
I would, off the top of my head, I would pick Wednesday.
Oh, this coming Wednesday? Wow.
I would pick this coming Wednesday. That's just off the top of my head. You said pick a day. It's like Wednesday. It's like after you said that, it pops into my head. I'm like, okay, I got to say Wednesday.
Oh, I can wait till Wednesday, and my online shopping will be reinstated on Wednesday by Andrea directly?
What I'm seeing is that once you reconnect with her, things get resolved very quickly. So the Eight of Wands, it's about things happening swiftly. So that doesn't really give us like an exact, number of days or time like that, but it happens very fast. So it could be, by the end of that day, something like that within 24 hours, but I would expect it would happen very quickly.
And that's strange that you said by the end of that day because she works swing shift. So that makes sense that it'd be between 4 and 12 midnight.
Oh, right, because swing shift, they start in the afternoon anyways. Okay, that makes sense.
She does in her shift. So, will I be extremely happy and I'll be able to shop again after I speak with Andrea?
That's a good question. Are you going to be happy, able to shop all of that stuff?
Yeah, shop online. I know I can shop in the store, but I want to shop online.
Yeah, so when we get the star card again, we're getting a lot of the same cards here. So I feel like it's just saying, like, yeah, you know, it's going to be resolved for you. You're going to be happy about that.
Okay.
And again, you know, every reason to be optimistic about this.
Okay. And what card did you get again?
The star card, once again, the Eight of Wands came up again. And yeah, and also the Empress card comes up. So, you know, how you were describing your interaction with Andrea, you know, it kind of is like that Empress energy where we feel like somebody's going to take care of us. It's got this nurturing quality, caring quality. So I wouldn't give up on this at all. I think that it will get resolved and that you'll be happy with the outcome.
Well, thank you. And I've worked on the phone for 22 years, and when I was transferred around, I was smart enough to, because this woman was basically reading notes, and she was saying, well, it was a business decision, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, are you in the same department? And she said, no. So you know what? My instincts tell me she's only reading notes. I need to speak to somebody who is authorized to decisions. And
yeah, that helps, right?
Yes. So I think you're giving me good news, and I really appreciate you. And I've been physically sick about this because I love the company. To me, it's like apple pie and McDonald's to go to this department store. And I think you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do. I know what you mean.
Yeah, they have a parade every January.
I like their parade, right? I was gonna say.
And I love I love the store. So
yeah.
I pray that it is this coming Wednesday that she calls me, and I pray she just immediately reinstates me, and I
takes care of it, and then you're free to shop at your favorite place. You know, it's funny how we get attached to those things, but there's something about like that particular store. I think that, you know, we do have like an emotional connection to it. There's something nostalgic even about it. There's something that makes us feel better about it. You know,
very well stated. Very true. You speak the truth. And so my online shopping is almost more important than getting the remaining $152 credited. I want that as well. But through that, boxes were sent back. I have impeccable support. I have scan times. I have tracking numbers. I have destinations. So that's
perfect.
I asked about the refund for that, and the woman I talked to yesterday, I think her name was Annette or Anjanette, and she said, well, she really didn't know if I'd get that money back. And I talked to my Bank of America, and they're ready to jump in, but because I don't think that would be legal. I really don't think it'd be legal if I've got such proof. But I want to be on good terms with this department store. I love the department store. I worked for them over 20 years ago, and it's a part of my life. It is an emotional connection. That's why I've been feeling so wounded.
Yep.
You just made me realize that.
Yeah, because it's not just a transaction we're talking about. It's a relationship, you know.
Oh, my gosh. You hit the nail on the head. You are absolutely right. And fortunate about something. I had a primary care doctor, and she was really, really smart. But her demeanor is kind of bottom line, and I would have anxiety when I knew I was going to talk to her. And after 2 years, I saw another doctor that I've been wondering about, and on the 16th day, I was transferred over to Dr. Robinson, and I had a telephone conversation with her, and oh my gosh, what a difference. She treated me like gold, and I believe that she's going to take good care of me, and I hope I stay with Dr. Robinson for the rest of my life. Do you see that?
Well, that's Dr. Robinson. Yeah, that it makes a world of difference, right? How they communicate with us, our caregivers, our doctors.
Exactly.
And
I'm almost
manner.
70.
Right?
Yeah, I'm almost 70, so that's why I said I hope she'll take care of me for the rest of my life.
The Sun card, Hierophant, the Star card, once again, that's interesting, So, yeah, I don't see any, I feel like you finally found the right doctor. Two of Swords is in the past position, like that tension that you were feeling with the other doctor that was just sort of, matter of fact about things. With the Sun card, this is like a lot warmer energy. We're happier, and we feel like, that we're being given good guidance. So,
yes.
This looks great.
And also, when our lease, I'm living with my sister Leslie, and when our lease expires at the end of April next year, I hope that Leslie agrees to sign a new lease at a brand new apartment building with me. Do you think she'll do that?
How likely does that look, of Leslie agreeing to sign a new lease with you in a new apartment?
Next year.
Yeah, next year. Okay, next year. It looks like it works out in the end. We have the Eight of Pentacles, and we have the World card, and we have the Six of Swords. All of those are good. What I feel like is it's like we have to hammer out the details. I feel like, is there something that Leslie's like a little stubborn about in regards to this? I think that she'll end up doing it, but I feel like we really got to, make it the right place,
Yeah.
So
because
that might take a little bit of
move.
Yeah, a little bit of doing, a little bit of convincing. We've got to really work on the details, but it looks like it works out in the end, so that's good. And the Six of Swords is a card of movement. We're not talking like a really long move, though, someplace way far away, right? We're talking about someplace like a shorter trip. That's usually
maybe
what
10
the
miles
Six of Swords
away.
Is.
Yeah, just about 10 miles away.
So that looks like that's totally doable, But, it's got to be the right situation, and you guys have to, kind of negotiate with each other a little bit. Leslie may be a little bit stubborn about it, at first, but it looks like that's going to turn out well, and it looks like it's like the new place wouldn't be that far away either.
And it'll be a lot nicer. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
So
I appreciate it. I think what's going to happen is I want to go to, it'll be more expensive, so maybe what I'll negotiate is maybe I'll pay just a little bit over half, so she won't have to pay exactly half to live in this nicer place. Then maybe that's what I'll offer.
Yeah, I think you guys will figure out a workable, deal on this, so that it works for both of you. So thanks so much for calling. You have a great weekend.
Well, God
Take
bless.
care.
It was so fun talking to you. Thank you.
Oh, fun talking to you too, Wendy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, and my switchboard is hanging up again. I don't know what is going on with this today. Okay, let me see. Oh, my goodness. I have a whole bunch of calls. I'm going to try and take a few more here. I think our next call, if I'm reading that right, is area code 720. Area code 720. Caller, are you there?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Lori, and I'm in Colorado.
Colorado. I love Colorado. What do you want to talk about today, Lori?
Well, I was wondering, what do I need to know that I'm not aware of, that'll help, with all the transitions I'm going through in the next few months?
Right. What do you need to know that you're not aware of? That's a great question. That's one that you would think people would ask more often, but they really don't. You know, it's like, I think I have one friend of mine that always says, you know, what do I need to look out for, and what can I look forward to? Right?
Oh, those are good ones too.
So let's see what comes up on this, you know. So the next couple months, you have these transitions coming up, and what do you need to be aware of in the meantime as you deal with those? The first thing that comes up is the Fool card. It's like be aware of the unexpected, you know. So, you know, there may be, you know, some surprises, but look, you know, the thing that's interesting is this. We have the Fool card, and right above it is the Six of Pentacles. And usually with the Six of Pentacles, that's like where you know, the card of generosity and giving and gifts. And so there might be, like, you know, something unexpected about that. The Four of Swords is underneath that. So I feel like this thing that's going on here with that is that there may be, you know, there might be a pause in the action. You might be going through this transition and building momentum, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're thrown off track for a few days. I know. Doesn't have to be a bad thing. The other thing that comes up in the past position is the Five of Cups, right? So the Five of Cups, fives often are about challenges or conflicts. And the Five of Cups particularly, we call it the card of spilt milk, right? Meaning don't cry over spilt milk. It talks about like feeling, you know, like a emotional disappointment or letdown. So because it comes up in the past position, I feel like, you know, maybe this is, you know, what we're transitioning from, you know, and to look out for that affecting us, you know, like if we've gone through like a difficult situation where we have felt let down, or we've dealt with disappointment, and we want to, you know, move on to the next phase, you know, and leave that behind. Sometimes those feelings can still drag on us a bit. So whatever you can do to be able to really release that and say, like, no, I'm letting it go, and I'm really letting it go, you know. And then in the outcome position, we have the King of Pentacles, you know. So does this transition involve another person? The King of Pentacles sometimes can represent like an earth sign, you know. Sometimes a male, doesn't have to be, but often this is somebody who we feel like, you know, we need permission from, or they act, or we have that in our head, even if it's not really the reality we're dealing with. So I feel like the big message from the Fool card at the center prior to that is saying, like, take the leap of faith. That, you know, you've got to be able to, like, jump into this and not feel like, and how are you when it comes to accepting help? Because that's the other thing that comes up with us, the Pentacles, is assistance and help.
Oh, yeah, I do pretty good.
Good.
So sometimes it's hard for me to ask for help, but if it's offered, yeah, sometimes in this situation, I think I'll be good at accepting it. So I'm moving in the end of June, and I rent, and I'm moving to a bigger place, and I'm going to be using the same property management company. And in the past, when I first moved into this place, which was 4 years ago, I had some conflicts with them, and I've kind of held a grudge ever since then with them, and I, and so I, I was worried about, am I going to have, experience the same thing at this next place, and let's hope not. And it sounds like it's time to let that go, to knock that chip off my shoulder.
Well, we all, we all do that. We have a bad experience, and it leaves a bad taste in our mouth, and we're like, oh, those people, we have to deal with them again. But in this case, in the cards, it's like that's what we're walking away from. That's behind us. So and you may find them more helpful. The Six of Pentacles with the Fool card, it could be that could be the source of the unexpected help that's going on here. But yeah, with the Five of Cups in the past, leave the grudge behind if you can, because you don't want to carry that around, if you don't need to, right? If it's not serving you,
Yeah.
So that's just, it's funny because, generally we don't think of the past when we're asked about, what do we need to be aware of going forward. But, sometimes it comes up because it's saying it's time to let it go, and to know that, this is like, and that Fool card is totally about taking the leap of faith and saying, like, okay, it's a new circumstance. This is going to be a new chapter, and I'm going to be in a new place. And you want to be, open to the good things coming in,
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a past love is coming back into town, moving back to town, and we may be reconnecting. Do you see anything around that?
Okay. So a blast from the past coming back into town, and what do we see happening around that with you and this person? Okay. King of Cups, the Lover's card in the past position, the Knight of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles in the outcome position. Look, we have the Four Swords first, so that's a card of usually like, there being like kind of a pause in the action, or we need to like kind of hit the reset button. And to me what that's saying is like, they move back in, maybe nothing takes off right away, Maybe it's just a matter of like them getting settled in, all of that stuff. The Eight of Pentacles in the outcome position and the Knight of Wands, but there's definitely the possibility of something happening here. With the Eight of Pentacles, it talks about the need to like make the effort. So, if the two of you want to reconnect and see what's happening, and we make the effort, something could happen here. It's all, pretty positive energy around this. This is saying like, with that Four of Swords, it's like, okay, we've got to kind of like, like I said, hit the reset button. So they're coming from the past, is that a past that we want to try and recreate, or do we want to kind of see where we're at now? And I would say, like, going forward, there's potential there, but not without effort, is what the Eight of Pentacles is saying. So really what that tells me is, like, neither one of you are going to, like, reconnect and, like, just go throw all caution to the wind and, just go crazy here. This is something that needs to develop. And it takes time. It's not going to happen right away. And, we'd need to have a fresh start.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Well, good. Well, I hope that helps you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for calling. You have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. Well, that is, and again, this crazy switchboard just keeps freezing. So bizarre. If I did not get to your call today, you can definitely call in tomorrow, same time, for Sharona Rapsick's Magic Universe show. She's also going to be taking calls and doing readings and doing Angel Reiki as well for callers. So tune in to that tomorrow. That's it for me for today. I will be back next Saturday with There's a Rock for That. We're going to be talking about telekinesis, which I'm really excited to talk about with my guest, Bob Harshman. And join the Psychic Talk Radio Facebook group if you haven't yet. We post stuff in there about what's coming up on the shows and everything. And I post a card of the day in there every day as well. I hope all of you had a great time today listening to the show. I want to thank everybody who called into the show. It was so much fun to talk to you and to get a chance to read for you as well. And I wish you all a fabulous weekend.